So what do you think? So that was the epic Greek god b-roll from one of my favorite games of all time now, actually, from Lords of Hellas by Awaken Realms. That was an incredibly fun run that we had for 3 months. Technically, it was like 8 months since this idea sprouted, but now this is where I want to set my videos going forward. So if you like that, if you want to join in on this journey and help grow this channel, please hit subscribe. Now, to say thank you to the community that has been participating with all these video edits for the past X amount of months, both on Instagram and YouTube. I of course want to do a giant giveaway here on this channel, but more details in the end. But first, there are some major tips and tricks that I learned while editing that I hope will in turn help you, or at least you'll find interesting. So it's going to be very, very baseline explanation. I'm not going to get too technical, and then more giveaway details at the end. Well, this is a new angle that we haven't seen before. Let's dive right in. So now that I get to reveal the first shot linked to this story right up here about Poseidon, and one of the first major things that I learned while I was editing Lords of Hellas is masking. Masking completely changed my whole editing style from here on out. Now, once you understand how to apply masks, it's going to take your video editing to a completely different level. Right above the horizon and the sky, when you edit that into a mask, it actually looks super nice and it really brings out all the details and the colors of the sky. But the problem with that is that once you create a mask, now you have this huge spray of water, right? So the mask is going to overlay with the water and make the water look all funny and purple and stuff. So even if you try to feather out the mask, it would look really, really bad because all the little droplets of water would be different colors and it just became too much of a hassle from here. So instead, I just color graded the entire clip as it is. So now I'm setting the scene and telling the viewer that this is going to be the main part of the story, which is that walk down the hallway. I also didn't like how all the green shrubbery were just, it was a very, very bright yellow orange and I hated it. And if you haven't seen my pictures for now, I like a lot of my greens to be pretty matted and to crank down the saturation for that. So that's how I color graded those here. Now as we keep going, the first 5 to 10 seconds, I always try to make a very, very strong hook. That way everyone's interested in the video. So I always try to hit the beats really, really fast. So we heard those first 5 beats, right? Boom, boom, boom. So all those quick beats into a mask transition. So this is my first mask that I introduced. So this is the first mask that I introduced, starting from the bookstore to the ocean. And then we go into the fire into the cape transition. So this one took the longest and was probably the most difficult part of the video. I've always wanted to, like, you watch other creators and see how smooth and seamless their transitions are. I wanted to ease into the hallway, but at a different perspective, of course, going from the cape. But then what was hard was thinking about, okay, well, how am I gonna go from a fire pit to the hallway without making it look all weird and wonky, or just a very, very hard cut instead of being, I don't want to be lazy and just make a hard cut because it wouldn't have made sense in this point. So I really wanted a smooth transition. And like I said earlier when I talked about masks, right? In the beginning, masks are easy because it's a quick transition from like how I showed you earlier, from going to the bookstore to the ocean scene. So that one's easy because you're going straight through like a pole or like a wall. So you can just skip through and then just make a line of a mask all the way through. But then for here, it's like, okay, well, what am I gonna mask? And then I started looking at how the cardboard that was burning in there looked similar to the cape. So as you slowly transition through it, you see how, so like as I was looking through this layer, it like got to me. I was like, wait a minute, the colors and the textures seem kind of the same. So how can I transition this into a cape? And then I scrubbed through all the cape clips that I got, and then the fire clips, and then finally found one that seemed like it would match the most. And then along with the camera movement that was involved here with the fire pit, so as I was moving the camera to the side, and then one of my friends was recording from the back here from the cape, I saw like, wait a minute, these kind of like have that wavy indentation that can match together and also have a similar color profile going from like a dark red to black to scarlet again. So this transition alone probably took me like the whole night just to tie in every single detail and then feather out everything one by one to make it super smooth. There are 2 key things that I did here. When you're looking for a smooth, seamless transition, you should look for a mask that matches in color and or texture. And then in order to make it a very, very smooth transition, what I also did was I used opacity. And then if you look here, right, so opacity in the beginning started at 100, and when I keyframed it here, and then it smoothly went down all the way to, with every millisecond or segment that I'm going here, 100 is going to like 95 to 85% to 80% to 76%, all the way down to 0 when you finally see the cape just move in. fully here. So now the opacity would be at 0 to show the cape, and that's how I really transitioned it into this clip shown here. The second biggest tip that I have is to learn how to manipulate sound. Just because you have one sound effect doesn't mean it can be used in one specific form. For example, in this flag clipper, I used it twice. The first one was used at like 80% and the second one was used at like 50%, and they form completely different sounds. By the percentages, I mean by like the speed of the clip. Now for the rest of the editing process, I'm going to give a brief overview of each god as we go through them. Just really quickly, very surface level, it's not going to get too technical. So the idea was to always introduce something brand new into every single segment of the god I was covering. And here I was doing Hermes, right? So I wanted to incorporate a hyperlapse effect, which I did with a GoPro. And in order to do that, that's why I used the whole running sequence for Hermes. The idea was that you're trying to catch up to the god, and then here he appears. Now the theme of the entire segment is that in Lords of Hellas, you're building armies and you're praying to different gods and increasing your attributes and strength. So I wanted to visualize that as I'm walking down through the hallway, or as our hero's walking down through the hallway and gaining various pieces of armor when he remembers like the journey he went through for each god. And of course, Zeus being the god of thunder, as chest armor is put on, that's when lightning strikes, thunder sounds appear, and then you have various thunder sounds in order to match the lightning. Now the lightning itself is actually an overlay of a previous video. This one I got from Storyblocks, so I overlaid that video behind it. So here I use a GoPro for Apollo, and Apollo sat at the top of the branch. Again, use another overlay in order to show a sunset because the sun just never appeared throughout these 3 months of filming. I don't know what it was. Now again, working with the mask tool, that's how I got the little yellow halo effect, and then so I figured that would be fitting for this. What I didn't like about this though is that the transition wasn't as smooth as I would have liked it. So see how I'm going from that blurred edge to kind of the side. That's me being annoying and looking. I don't know where the flip I was looking, but I couldn't find a way to transition it a little smoother. That's why I introduced a little blurry glitch effect in order to hopefully mask that just a little bit more. There's this pause in the soundtrack where you hear that shh sound, right? So that's not a time when you are cutting between clips back to back, right? This is now, we are now at 44 seconds, and what always helps is to go back to your video, watch it all over again in order to understand pacing. Is your audience breathing? Are they understanding what's going on? Is everything happening too fast? What are you trying to tell them? All these questions you want to answer, and especially midway through your video, you want to think about it and address that. And what works out well is that in the song, there's actually this pause, right? It's that smooth psh sound. So for that, that's when I just did a big reversal of the giant wave that happened for Poseidon. So one, it looks like an epic shot, and it also ties in well with the music, and it also plays along to the story, because now we're going from Athena to Poseidon. If you haven't noticed, right, there are a ton of sound effects that are overlaying the main track. Chains, water, the flag, fire, all of these really help to accentuate all of your clips, because if you hear it without any of the soundtracks, it just sounds so boring. I played the chain sound effect even before the chains are being dragged along. That way, it's always kind of like a preemptive effect for the viewer. Normally what I wanted to start doing was introduce the board game at the beginning so people don't get so confused by this entire showcase, which I'm pretty sure people were like, oh, what's going on? But instead, I wanted to grab their attention first, which is why I started out with all those fast-paced clips. Very strong scenery and sounds. But then that's when I wanted to tie in that this entire video is about a board game called Lords of Hellas by introducing, of course, the cover art. And then we finished off with a sequence showing the entire outfit, which everyone voted for from 3 months ago till now. Welcome back. So that was the editing process. Now to talk about the giveaway. There is one major giveaway that is going to go on here on YouTube. Let's talk about that first. Now, since this last game was Lords of Hellas and the whole B-roll was about Lords of Hellas, I figured it would be fitting to give away a box of Lords of Hellas. So I'm gonna go ahead and give away the base game of Lords of Hellas. All you have to do is leave a comment down below and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That's it. One random winner will be picked a week from today. And once again, thank you all so much for joining me on this entire journey. Now the idea is to, of course, make more epic cinematic sequences in a more timely fashion, of course. This was definitely my biggest project to date, and thank you all so much for participating and helping me throughout this entire process. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to give away a box of my favorite game to one of you. So until next time, I'll see you all later.